Is there any predetermination of our path? Yes, hands down, which is also a scientific fact. Sociologists think that the destiny of a person is almost completely determined by his social and cultural background. Yeah, naturally it's highly unlikely that a man born in a working class family would get into ruling elites and vice versa. But is there something beyond that social predetermination? This is where we face a question of where that might come from, or speaking more generally, whether the God exists. If there is no God, only social determinism and some random events are at play, whereas the God's existence implies an agenda, the Creator's design, where there is a role for everyone. As I was saying before, a belief in God is mandatory and necessary as it's a proper way for structuring the reality for our intellect. Providing the God doesn't exist and our life is merely a set of social determinations and situational factors, our reality becomes dull, tiresome routine. When in contrast, if there is a plan, life turns into an entertaining quest with a purpose to understand it and piece together that puzzle to solve the mystery of a man's life. Who are we and why are we here? Also, the God's existence is actually quite logical, because if our destiny is determined only by social factors, it would mean that our character, innate proclivities and talents are also a matter of chance, without any distinct application. On the other hand, existence of the God, his design and an individual path, denotes that all qualities and idiosyncrasies of a person are there to a reason. Overall, all that is about a personal choice. We either choose to live in a chaos or in a well-ordered system where everything works according to certain rules. And this is our mission, to understand this system, its mechanisms, and find our own place there. Well, the second option is obviously more preferable, if only because it's comfortable for human psyche. Providing that individual path exists, what is it in the first place? This is the path of emotional intellectual comprehension. It's not something abstract. I'm talking here about complicated body cognitive revelations, so-called strokes of insight, when we simultaneously feel and realize something. Take a person who sees a sea the first time in his life. He's looking at this great blue spreading until the very horizon and, becoming fully aware, says to himself, "Yeah, here it is, the sea, wow." Such emotional experiences might be way more complicated. Try to imagine what feels a person standing at the bottom of an enormous space rocket that was designed by that person and built with help of thousands other people. This is a massive, convoluted emotional experience about how he managed to organize and put everything into practice. These experiences might be quite unpleasant and disappointing. So that is what you really are. So that is what your words are worth. All in all, experiencing different emotional revelations is how comprehension of the world works. This is what our life path is made of. Everything else is nothing but tools for our aid. Consequently, a destiny is a propensity to emotional experiences of a certain spectrum. One needs feelings brought about by traveling, exploring and getting amazed by new cities, countries, and other worlds. Another looks for a creator's affections. Out of chaos, of a formless mass, he craves to cast a piece of art. The third one is into an engineering line of activity. He takes pleasure at putting together various mechanisms and enjoys seeing how they work at his whim. So, our destiny is moving along that particular unique spectrum of emotional experiences. Foraging for our real emotional experiences means getting closer exactly to the point that we are supposed to arrive at. If we are not afraid of our destiny, life truly unfolds. In other words, proportions of emotional experiences and situations that bring them about grow more and more massive. Giving in to fears doesn't change the nature of our revelations. It's just the intensity that tapers off. One thing when you made a dress, and another thing when you made a dress staged a fashion show in Milan, and then sold that attire for a lot of money. This is a way broader array of emotions, but the principle stays unchanged. To what extent are we capable of controlling our destiny and life? Where exactly is that famous free human will? It resides in not following your destiny. It lies in being stupid and ignoring a set of our predispositions, talents, physical assets, and other elements of our personality that in fact are life pointers that help us perceive and follow our destiny. Simply put, life is like a tree. It consists of the most optimal wood, the trunk, and thousands of branches, possible scenarios that we can choose. The trunk root leads to the maximal degree of personal actualization in this world, whereas any of the offshoots ends with a nebulous, vague, and obscure illusion, even though that illusion might be pleasant, but still, it's merely a phantasm. The vast majority choose a social destiny. They choose not to fall out of a flock, not to move to their intended purposes, ignore what they are really attracted to. They choose to live properly within a norm. No doubt, though, deciding to move towards a predestined goal, to follow the heart, the person chooses a way more dangerous, frightening, and weird path. But it gives the feeling being alive and a sense of purpose, as it comes with the realizations that everything happening to him is not in vain and he needs it. In a nutshell, following your destiny is moving along the way that you're supposed to move because you possess all necessary tools for it. Free will in its turn means having a choice not to do so. This is that notorious human freedom to be dumb and make mistakes.